Hi, everybody. This is Real Talk. I'm Craig Bennett. Welcome to the podcast. So this is episode 2 of a two-part discussion around estate planning. Last week we had on Ashley Wittneben, and we had a brief discussion around how to protect your assets with regards to trust and estate planning, with regards to owning your rental properties and investment properties. Today we're going to do a little bit deeper dive into the basics of estate planning. What does this have to do with real estate? Well, it all goes around to protecting your assets. Most often, your home is your single biggest asset. If you have rental properties and other investment vehicles and just your life in general, everybody should be talking about estate planning. And you should actually be considering that as part of your growth and your investment strategy. If you're a homeowner, you have an asset to protect. So you're going to want to listen to what Ashley has to say about that. Ashley, welcome back to the podcast, and thanks for stopping in again.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. So that's going to start really with the first basic question. Let's start with why anyone would need a will or trust, and what's the difference?
Sure, yeah. It's shocking to me how many people don't have these basic documents. So let's talk about a will first. Your will, especially if you have minor children, is so important because that's what's going to establish guardianship and conservatorship for those minor children. And then beyond that, if you don't have a will, you're going to die what we call intestate, which means that state law dictates where your assets go, not you. And so if you have a will, you are in control of where your assets go, how they are distributed. And then a trust is the second part of your estate plan that I think a lot of people have this misconception that you have to be extremely wealthy to have a trust, which is not true at all. Anyone can set up a trust, not saying that everyone needs one, but for most people, there are great benefits to having one. So you would set up what we call a revocable or a living trust. So that's established during your life, and it's just like the name says, it's revocable. At any point, you can change it, you can terminate it. The great benefit to having this is it provides for incapacity planning. So if you become incapacitated, your successor trustee can step in and manage your assets. It provides probate avoidance. So then when you die, assets that are held in your trust are not subject to probate. And finally, it allows for very sophisticated tax planning strategies for high net worth clients.
Mm-hmm. Great. There's a lot in there to unpack, but just again, starting from the basics, when is the best time for someone to set this up? Like at what stage in life would somebody want to have a will or a trust?
Yeah, I think everyone, as soon as when you get married, you have children, you really want to look at setting up that will because that, like I said, if you have minor kids at home, you need that document. And even if you're a single person living by yourself, if you don't want your assets just to go back to your parents per Arizona intestate law, then you want to have that set up. So I think anyone can do it at any time. If you don't have these things, now is definitely the time.
Right. So you have a will and a trust. That's the main components of an estate plan, right? What else constitutes an estate plan?
Yeah, so your other complements to that would be your financial, durable power of attorney, healthcare power of attorney, and living will.
Okay, let's kind of unpack that a little bit.
Yeah.
Talk about the first one. What would I need with that?
Yeah, so the financial power of attorney is just like it says. That person, the agent that you nominate, they're going to be in charge of managing your financial and business assets. So if something happens to you, say you're in a car accident, you're in a coma, April rolls around, your tax return needs to be signed and filed, they can do that. Even though you're not able to.
Gotcha. And I know the one thing we've talked about in the past is the healthcare directive, that document. Tell us why that's important.
Yeah. So your healthcare power of attorney and living will function together. So your healthcare power of attorney is where you nominate an agent that would make medical and health decisions on your behalf if you're unable to. And then that your living will is going to provide direction for end of life care. So like a DNR.
Right. Which means?
Do not resuscitate.
Okay. All right. Good. Yeah. So these are some real basic items that everybody should have, right?
I mean, yeah, definitely. Yeah. Yes. Especially like if you think about, when your kid goes off to college and they're 18, if they don't have that document, if something happens to you, no one has the legal authority to do those things on their behalf, whether they're in a medically induced coma and there needs to be a decision made, or again, something financial comes up that you need to be able to transact on their behalf. If you don't have those documents, you can't do it.
Right. I think a lot of people hear this conversation, they don't think it applies to them, but they don't want to have it, right? It's kind of a scary, uncomfortable conversation to have.
Yeah.
right? But I think so important and so needed, and I just think that people really need to understand the benefits to having these and the peace of mind, right? Don't you find your clients have
Oh, yeah.
peace of mind after they put this in
Yes.
place?
Yeah. I mean, a lot of people are afraid to do it because they think it's going to be expensive and, but it really is a huge savings down the road. And it's great peace of mind to know that all of your affairs are in order.
Right. So that leads me to the next question. Probably everyone's asking, like, how do I get started this? Like, what's the first step I should do if I want to do just even a basic will?
Yeah, I would engage a qualified estate planning attorney. If you know friends or family that have used someone and that they enjoyed working with, I would start there. If you need recommendations, I'm happy to help on that front with anyone that needs it. Or you can always go online to our Arizona Bar website and you can find a list of all attorneys in Arizona.
Great, great. Yeah, we'll include Ashley's information in the notes below. So you'll, if you want to reach out, that's fine too.
Yeah.
Yeah, great,
Happy
great.
to help.
So in our previous episode, you touched on what you do at BOK Financial, which is where Ashley works. If you didn't catch that first episode, you should, because she went into a little bit more information about her background. What as a trust officer, what's your basic role there?
Yeah. So I work with clients during life on whether they have, a trust that they've established that's a revocable trust, or maybe they have an IRA or other type of account, and work with them to engage a portfolio manager and help them manage those assets from an investment perspective, but also help them kind of fine tune their estate plan to make sure that when they pass, everything is in order. And then ultimately, when that client does pass away, then I'm the one that's responsible for settling their estate and administering their trust, perhaps on an ongoing basis for the benefit of their children, grandchildren, or maybe the trust just terminates and we distribute the assets, but the child has a good relationship with me and wants to maintain their account with our bank. We certainly do that as well.
So really your role at the bank is an ongoing, after someone passes away, to administer the trust throughout probably multiple generations. The bank would do that.
Yes.
Yeah. Good. Well, anything else that I missed in a question that you think our viewers may be interested in?
I think one thing, I did mention the benefits in a trust having probate avoidance, but I think just to elaborate a little bit on that, especially because here in Arizona, people a lot of times have a second home, third home, whatever that case may be. So if you had property, say I have 3 houses in 3 different states, if I don't have a trust, then when I die, I'm likely going to have 3 probates, one for each property. Versus if I owned all 3 of those through my revocable trust, I would not have that probate requirement and my assets would just move on through the trust to my beneficiaries, which is a huge time and cost savings, especially if you own property, say in California. You do not want to go through probate there.
Right. Personal experience. My father passed away. We had a home in Fresno, California, where my grandmother lived. My dad owned it. And he just never got around to putting it in trust. And when he passed away, it took us 2 years to settle the probate in California. Yeah. So the condo we couldn't sell it. We couldn't do anything with it. It just sat there for 2 years while we settled the probate.
And you continue to pay taxes and expenses.
Right. Yeah. HOA.
So just wanted to mention that.
No, that's good clarification. So you can see if you do have properties in multiple states that it would be so important to have it, inside of the trust.
Yes, exactly.
Great. Anything else?
No, I think we've covered it.
Good. Well, again, thank you so much for stopping by. It's been such a pleasure speaking with you today. Hope to have you on again in the future.
No, thank you for having me.
Great. Thanks.